Our market, just like tons of other real estate markets throughout the nation, is extremely hot. You're seeing low inventory, high demand, and it's not uncommon for certain price segments where listings are seeing multiple offers within hours of going live. Now, some buyers win, some buyers lose, but ultimately, sellers do have to choose one of those offers. So I've been dealing with this with my clients, and I always provide the same guidance and same instructions to write a strong offer to give them the best odds of the seller choosing that offer. So today, I wanted to provide you guys with some of the tips that I provide my clients when they are going up against a multiple offer situation. Multiple offers is a dream come true for sellers. They get to go through all the different offers and they get to choose which one is the best. Not always the purchase price. Sometimes it's the terms, sometimes it's the agent, sometimes it's the lender. There are tons of nuances that sellers are looking at and that their agent is advising them to hone in on. Now, when it comes to buyers, not so great news. There are more losers than there are winners, but I can give you the best advice at getting your contract accepted by the seller based on certain nuances to the offer that you write. Now, sellers are always looking for certain things in a contract, and today I've broken it down to 3 categories. We're going to be talking about terms, your team, and tiers. Before I even write an offer, I'm going to reach out to that seller's agent and I'm going to ask that agent, when do the sellers need to close by? Now, this is critical information that you want to take into consideration on your offer because you want to make your offer as appealing as possible to the sellers. Purchase price. Now, if you are thinking about lowballing, this is probably not the opportunity for you unless you want your offer to go to the bottom of the stack and to be completely overlooked. And if you're into wasting people's time, hey, maybe it's a great time for you. But if you actually want to buy this house, it's important that you and your agent do some homework on the comparable properties around the area so you have an idea of the value for that home to give you a range to work with. Escrow deposit, good faith, or just deposit for the property depends on what state you're buying a property in, but it's all treated the same. Now, this is the next thing that sellers are going to be examining because literally it is the line below the purchase price. Now, some buyers out there do not have the cash on hand or liquidity to be able to put up a significant deposit for the property. So they'll be putting up $1,000 or $500, just depends on what purchase price we're dealing with. Now, if you do have this opportunity, you do have cash on hand, this is your chance to shine. I suggest writing a deposit between 3 and 5% of the purchase price. Closing date. Now, this circles back to that initial conversation your agent had with the seller's agent about when they need to close. Now, do those sellers need to close as soon as possible because they're on military orders and they have no time to get up there? It happens. Or do they need 60 days because they need to pack and their kids are going in and out of school and whatever that may be? I highly encourage you to adhere to those requests by the sellers because what we're trying to do is make your offer very appealing to those sellers. An overall clean offer. Now, essentially what this means is that you are not asking the seller to contribute anything towards your closing costs. Sellers pay their closing costs, buyers pay their standard closing costs. It's a clean offer. Now, if you are in a position where you can take care of your own closing costs, I highly encourage you to avoid asking for closing costs. Have you ever heard the phrase, who you work with matters? Well, in real estate, it's more applicable than any other industry in the world. Maybe, but being serious, it is really important to make sure that who you work with in real estate matters because the good agents, especially in a small area like Brevard County, know the other good agents and they most certainly know the bad agents. Now, when I say bad agent, what I mean is someone that is an awful communicator. They never get back to their emails. They don't know how to text. They never pick up the phone, the call. You just never hear from them after they write an offer, and that does happen. They also don't know how to manage their clients, and maybe it's just a part-time gig for them. These are the people that most good agents want to avoid working with because they know the opportunity of that deal making it to the closing table is pretty slim. So ultimately, if you are buying right now, this is your opportunity to make sure that you're working with an agent that not only has a great reputation in the real estate industry, but someone with experience, someone that is, closing multiple deals and has been in the real estate world for a while. The other part of the team dynamic is the buyer's lender. Now, typically, sellers like to see a local lender being used. Now, I can talk about this in extreme detail, but for this video, I'm going to bring up a couple of points. One, that local lender has a reputation to maintain in that community, so you bet your butt they're going to be wanting to close that deal. And secondly, these local lenders, they source out their appraisals to local appraisers, people that understand the nuances to an area. If you use a conglomerate or a large lender like Rocket Mortgage, Quicken Loans, USAA, whatever it may be, oftentimes they're sourcing the appraiser that is going to do the job for the cheapest. So sometimes you see these appraisers come from hundreds of miles away because they need the job and they need the business, so they're going to be coming into an area that they have no idea about. And oftentimes, if you do have appraisal issues, it's an out-of-area appraiser. The interesting thing about residential real estate is typically it's a pretty emotional transaction. It's very rare that you have the seller that is completely detached from the outcome and has no feeling or emotion whatsoever. They would call it robotic, as my wife would say. But it's generally not the case in residential. So residential, people are attached to that property. They've raised their family there, they've created memories, and more than likely, they want to actually transfer some of that energy to the family moving in. So if when you are walking through the home, you can see pictures of their family, on trips or something that you can sort of relate to, this is your opportunity to write a letter and talk about why you loved the house. What was it about that property that you saw and you could see your family living there, or maybe you want to start your family, or something where you can strike a chord with these sellers. And remember, what we're trying to do is dig in a little bit to that emotional side of the transaction and have these sellers really compelled to want to work with you. But I will advise caution, this can backfire, so just know your audience. If you walk through a property and you can see that they're very religious, it probably would not be a good idea to go in and start using profanity in a letter and talk about how you don't have a relationship with God because of God knows what. That's probably actually really bad. Now here's the deal. You still might adhere to all these terms and write the strongest offer and be like, Shane, I did what you told me to do and I still lost out on this offer. Well, here is what's going to happen is in this market, there's a lot of buyer's remorse because you're seeing an expedited time crunch of people going through needing to buy that property. They have to get in immediately, they have to write an offer. And once they get accepted, time kind of slows down for them. And then they start thinking, well, are we overpaying? Is this really the area we want? And so what you're seeing is a lot of buyer's remorse and people are just canceling contracts because in Florida, it's interesting. You have an as-is contract. You have 10 days to inspect. You can literally cancel that contract for whatever reason. So they'll come in, write a real strong offer because they're excited, they're happy, they're emotional, and they want to win it. And then they say, well, crap, maybe it's not the house, maybe it's not the location, and they cancel. And then that property goes back on the market unless there's a backup offer. So yes, I've talked about this in the past, write a backup and make sure that you're secured in there because I'm seeing lots of deals fall through, lots of cancellations, lots of remorse. So make sure to secure that backup offer because that's going to give you the best odds of securing that property. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have learned some things from this video. Now, if you are currently in our market and you're competing and you're having no luck and you want some advice or need to ask me some questions, you can always shoot me a direct message. You can comment on this video. You can send me a text, a call, whatever it is. I'd be more than happy to help. And if you are looking for an agent that has experience working in multiple offer situations, of course, I would be more than happy to assist with that. You guys know the drill. I've been doing Monday videos for a while. I change up the content, but I'm always putting something on Mondays, and I always appreciate you guys watching. So I'll see you next Monday.